Hello, my Sacramento Waichi family. I hope you're all doing well and surviving the quarantine. I thought today we would explore finding our koshi or using our koshi and our kata. Also, at the same time, I'd like to explore how we go about training in our kata. When I say we, really I'm talking about me. I learned the kata we're going to be using, Kanshiwa, from my first teacher, Johnny Author. Johnny had been a Filipino freedom fighter, so his approach to kata was very much from application. But it wasn't just one application, it was how you used the various techniques of a kata in different ways. Later on, when I ran into Master Gushi would express that sometimes things looked the same, but they weren't the same. So a technique somebody was using could look exactly the same as the technique somebody else was using, but the application was different. So with that, let's get into Kanshiwa and talk briefly about how we find our koshi and how we explore the techniques. So again, as I bow and begin the kata, I'm going to bow from my hips, and I'm going to feel my back, my lower back, the koshi, right from the beginning. And again, I'm going to use my little fingers to pull down, and then to bring my koshi around, so I'm feeling this spiraling. At the same time that's going on, I'm spiraling in the earth. Now, not quite the same as Sanchin, because as I'm doing kata, I want to maintain a lot of flexibility and fluidity in my motions. So I want to feel these, but I'm not going to hunker down. I'm going to sit into my pelvic girdle, sit into my hips. I'm going to have all these feelings, but I'm not going to tense up quite as much as I would in Sanchin. As I squeeze my little finger, I'm going to feel my back. So again, my fingers would be together, squeezing. And now as I bring my hands up to begin the kata, I'm going to come into my center line, feeling like my little fingers are proceeding and opening. So I have this sense of opening up and a sense of spiraling going on in my arms. I also, because of my supination, immediately have to feel, am I leaning out? If I am, I want to get back in so that I'm making contact with the floor, so I've got good contact and not just leaning out on the edges of my feet. If you're a pronator, you might want to watch out that you're not just contacting on the inside of your feet. If you don't have that issue, great, don't worry about it. But feel the bottoms of your feet, again looking for that point just behind the ball of the foot and running through the length of the foot. As I make this turn, again, my eyes are going to, like in Sanchin, my eyes are going to proceed. And as my eyes begin to move, my body naturally wants to follow. So as I begin to turn, my eyes proceed, and I'm going to use my fingers, again, this energy going on from Kamai position. I'm going to use my fingers from Kamai to help make the turn. Hopefully I keep my thumbs in better on my turn. There we go. Feeling the spiraling out. Now you can practice the kata, just going from Kamai, circle, punch, Kamai, circle, punch. Or you can begin looking for the spirals that we talked about in the Sanchin. So as I make this first turn, I'm going to feel a spiraling and a connection with my hip, this rotation of my body. So there's one circle, 2, 3, and now actually there's a spiraling going on in my body as I open my hips slightly, feel the muscles in my back spiral, and do the punch. Each of the punches in this kata should be done from your center. You should feel as though you're hitting right from your hara, right from your 1 point, right from your koshi, that your whole body is engaged in making the strike. That's not to say your shoulder's not involved. You're going to want to lock down your armpit again. You don't want to hyperextend, you don't want to extend your shoulder. You want to feel your lats and your traps contribute to what's going on with your koshi. Additionally, as I said, don't hyperextend your shoulder. Don't roll it out. Now watch again the bend of your arm. You don't want to, I can't even do it, but you don't want to hyperextend the arm either. So you want to feel that strike, that power going right through the tip of your hand. Now, you'll notice I'm using a shokin. As I said, I learned this kata from Johnny Author, and Johnny always used shokins. Interestingly enough, my second teacher, Charlie Earl, always used shokins, but as I explained to you when I taught the kata in class, this is typically done with a seiken, not a shokin. At home, practice what feels comfortable to you. but be aware that most people are going to do this for the sake. So we do our turns, 1, 2, 3, focusing on the hips and the turn. As we make the turns, we want to feel this connection with our elbow and our hips. And each time I make a turn, I'm going to have to adjust so that the weight of my front foot gets balanced back to the rear foot. Also, as I make each of these turns, I'm going to feel this opening of my hips and an extension through my rear foot and a slight pulling from my front foot as I make the strike. So we do that series of 3 punches to the left, then back 180 degrees, then to the front, and then we step through and we do our first sotogiri with a knife edge kick. Now for supinators, this is like the greatest kick ever. I naturally roll out on the edges of my feet, so kicking with this part of my foot, the knife edge, just feels very, very natural to me. There are 2 ways we do this in class. Naidi Sensei teaches this by bringing the foot up and then coming out this way. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I just caution you, the only problem I have with doing it that way is some of you tend to drop the knee in as you go to do the kick. Once you bring the knee up, if you're going to do this sotogiri, that knee stays there and goes out with the kick. The knee does not drop in on your center line with the kick. As I do the sotogiri, I actually bring the foot in at a 45-degree angle, and then I'm aiming out with the hip, knee, foot. As I'm doing this, I get this sense of hashibarai, the sense of lifting and sweeping as I'm bringing the foot up and out. As you do the kicks, you want to feel your sense of, again, of balance. You can find a lot of YouTube videos of people doing this kata, and they're trying to get their kicks up high, and they're leaning away. There are also many styles of karate that have this leaning away with a traditional yokogiri, a side kick. What you'll notice about people doing a yokogiri, though, in traditional karate, is as they're putting that side kick out, their upper body is going in. There's this flow from their upper body in. We don't have that in this kata. We don't have this pushing with the arms that are going out the side kick. So as you're doing the sotogiri, you want to feel your arms stay in the sense of spiraling going on with your hands, sense of your elbows connecting with your hips. As you bring this up, you want to feel the base of your stance. Feel that foot connecting to the earth. Everything's lined up. As you make that turn, kick and down. As you come through again, elbow connecting to the hip. As you 1 circle, 2 circles, hashibarai, kick, down. So now we've done the first 5 movements of the kata, kind of looking and exploring how we work our body in it. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to do the elbow strike, and we'll finish the kata. See you on the next video.